Such arrogance.
This dude, because of his mass, his girth, his power.
What did you just say, Stephen?
If this brother had a few more inches, oh, Lord, don't get me salivating and fantasizing about things. Oh, my God.
For a long time, the name Loki in One Piece carried a specific connotation. He was the invisible prince of Elbaph, a desperate political marriage option for Big Mom, a rejected suitor who chased after Lola, Charlotte Lola, an abstract figure shrouded in silhouette and mystery. But when Ichiro Oda finally dropped the chains in the Elbaph arc, we didn't get a refined, evil, plotting prince. We got a chained, cackling force of nature who proudly claims the title of Sun God. He is the shame of Elbaph and the Accursed Prince, yet his presentation is raw, honest, mixed with unadulterated strength. Loki isn't just another modern antagonist, he is a bridge to the old era, shaped by the absolute extremes of honor, piracy, and tragedy. Now smash that like button with Ragnir, comment and subscribe, and let's talk about one of the coolest new characters in One Piece. Prince Loki. To understand Loki's volatile mind, we have to look at his father, King Harold. For years, the world thought Loki was simply a power-hungry monster who murdered his father in cold blood just to steal a legendary devil fruit. But Oda's heart-wrenching flashbacks revealed a far darker truth. Harold, a former member of the God's Knights, who bore the heavy physical and emotional scars of his ancient giant lineage, found himself caught in the absolute grip of Imu's malice. Mind you, a lot of that was Harold's own fault and self-inflicted, but still. When Harold realized he was losing control to the world government's dark influence, he made a devastating choice and made the ultimate sacrifice. He ordered his own son to execute him, forcing Loki to paint himself as the villain to preserve the pride and sovereignty of Elbaph. Loki carrying the label of Kingslayer isn't a sign of his cruelty. It's a testament to a deeply buried, agonizing loyalty. He became the monster Elbaph needed him to be. But Harold wasn't the only phantom who shaped the prince. Long before the God Valley incident, a chaotic storm arrived on the shores of Elbaph in the name of Rox D. Zabek. The flashback between a young, prideful Loki and the world's most terrifying pirate is crucial. Zabek represented a brand of absolute, unhinged ambition that completely disrupted the rigid traditional honor codes of the giants. Loki was stabbed by Rox, rejected by him, and witnessed his terrifying worldview. Zabek showed Loki that the rules of the world are meant to be broken. Zabek's echo is loud in Loki's current persona. His disregard for the world government, his mocking attitude towards authority, and his volatile, unpredictable nature all stem from seeing the peak of piracy before Roger's era finally came around. I would be remiss to not mention his mother giving birth to him and immediately throwing him off a cliff as a newborn, making Loki devoid of love or thinking he wasn't deserving of it from a very young age. And while I do not want to deny the impact that this has had on his personality and life, and it's huge, I do think Rox and Harold have had much bigger impacts on him overall from a percentage standpoint. Let me know if you disagree with that. Oda's love for combining real-world history, folklore, and in this case mythology with One Piece's lore applies to Loki here, but with a characteristically brilliant twist. In Norse mythology, Loki is the trickster god, a shapeshifter, a liar, and is ultimately the catalyst for Ragnarok, the end of the world. Oda's played around with some of this when it comes to the Accursed Prince, therefore playing on your foreknowledge if you're tapped into Greek mythology. Loki is a chained sun god, if you will, In the mythos, Loki is bound by the gods in an underworld cave as punishment. In One Piece, we find Loki literally chained in the freezing underworld of Elbaph, waiting for the spark that sets him free. The catalyst for the end, just as the mythological Loki steers the ship of Naglfar to bring about the destruction of the old pantheon, One Piece's Loki literally has a major role to play in the final war and claims to want to bring destruction to the world. Then there's the irony of the sun god. The most brilliant piece of writing here is Loki calling himself the sun god. In myth, Loki is fundamentally associated with fire and mischief, but in One Piece, claiming to be the sun god puts him in direct ideological opposition and bizarre alignment with Monkey D. Luffy's Nika, but in addition to that, he fights with lightning and ice, not fire. Just found that to be rather intriguing. A question I've asked myself often is, where does this leave Loki in the grand scheme of the final saga? He is, in my opinion, a huge wildcard. I kind of see him in some ways as an anti-emu weapon. Blackbeard too, but bear with me. Because of what happened to King Harold, Loki has a deeply personal, burning hatred for the world government and the Girdlesay and the Gods Knights. He isn't a pirate fighting for a dream. He's a force of vengeance looking to tear down Marijois for what they forced his family to endure. He's also an interesting foil to Luffy. Luffy represents the pure, liberating light of the sun god Nika. Loki represents a dark, aggressive, ego-driven interpretation of a sun god. Their dynamic is bound to be electric because Loki possesses the raw, ancient strength of a giant, and Ragnir, while Luffy is Luffy. But for real though, ultimately what I'm saying here is, while Luffy represents the joyful chaos that liberates people, Loki represents the destructive chaos born from rejection and vengeance, making them two sides of the same wild coin in the final saga. Loki's core powers and abilities are a huge reason why I find his character to be so fascinating. As royalty of the ancient giant race, Loki possesses immense physical strength that vastly eclipses standard giants. His raw physical power allows him to swing massive weapons with terrifying force and withstand severe physical punishment. He's also a Conqueror's Haki user and can quote his attacks in it. He has elemental manipulation plus being the Nidhogger. Loki commands devastating elemental attacks, specifically lightning and frost. He's got lightning blasts. Loki can channel and project massive lightning strikes, often combining his breath or energy with Ragnir's frost mist to create hybrid attacks like Ragnar's Arrow and Niflheim, primordial cold, named after the Norse realm of ice. Loki uses this technique via Ragnir to flash freeze enemies into solid blocks of unbreakable frost. And then there's that squirrel, that boy. Oh, him? Ragnir? He's goated. The Iron Thunder Warhammer. Ragnir isn't just a weapon. It's a sentient legendary entity that acts as Loki's combat partner. It's a devil fruit, the Risu no Mi model Ratatosker, being a mythical Zoan type devil fruit. Because of the Zoan fruit, Ragnir can transform between a giant warhammer, a massive mythical ice squirrel, and probably a hybrid form I don't think we've seen yet. And because it has its own independence, sentience, free will, and movement, for hundreds of years, Ragnir actually guarded Elbaph's national treasure, the Nidhogger fruit, turning away every giant king until Loki earned its respect with a fierce clash. The key abilities of Ragnir is absolute freezing and lightning generation amplification. By colliding ice crystals or drawing electricity from the sky, Ragnir can generate and amplify lightning strikes, multiplying the force of Loki's attacks. Ragnir is also immensely durable, virtually indestructible as a weapon. During its initial clash with Loki, it absorbed a full force Conqueror's Haki blow from Loki's previous Warhammer, completely shattering Loki's old weapon to pieces while taking very minimal damage itself. Prince Loki is the accumulation of everything that makes Elbaph the legendary land we've anticipated for 20 years. He isn't just a powerful giant with a scary devil fruit and awesome ancient weapon. He is a walking tragedy wrapped in historical chaos. Influenced by the tragic sacrifice of King Harold, the lack of love from his mother, and the untamed malice of Roxy Zebek, he stands poised to light the fuse of the final war. When those chains finally break for good, the One Piece world will face its own Ragnarok. You know I cooked with that line. You know that was a bar. Don't lie to me. I'm out of here. You guys be safe.
And I think he's thinking to himself, wait a second, this is working.
Right.
I just busted right inside him and he can't extend on me anymore. And he seems a little overwhelmed by my girth and tonnage, right?